this is Andrés from VARANORMAL. In this video I want to show you a new device I created, or developed. Maybe one or the other of you guys saw my last video where I showed you my experiments with the rotating glass ball illuminated by LEDs and rotating on a stream of water coming out of an indoor fountain. And because these results and also your reflections in the forum were very encouraging, I made up my mind about developing some kind of device that could melt together or fuse the technology of a device with the ancient art of scrying, based on the principles I, let's say, discovered or observed in this previous experiment with the rotating glass ball. So, as usually, I got an inrush of ideas and a lot of construction details while I was lying awake at night. This is mostly the time, especially early in the morning, between 4 a.m. and let's say 6 a.m. where I get inrush of ideas from the hereafter. And also this was the case with this device I will show you in a second. And I think it's a pretty strange design, and it's also very promising regarding the results. But before we go deeper into the details of what this device can produce in case of images, I want to show you some of the technical details. So this is it. This is my prototype. You can see I used a jewelry box because of the nice design with a wooden case and the very nicely prepared wood here. Also has some varnish on it, so it makes it look a little more elegant. So let's start with the most important part. This here is a ball made of rock crystal. So this is a natural mineral, and it has inclusions, as you can see here. It is not totally clear or not transparent. It has inclusions, has some broken surfaces and bubbles in it. And it's positioned here in the middle of the lid, and in the lid you can see we have a cutout. And in the cutout you can see the shaft of a small motor. I can also turn it on. It makes some strange noise when it starts, so please don't get afraid. So this weird sound comes from the pulse width modulation of the motor. It's a simple means to adjust the speed of the motor shaft and thus the speed of the rotating ball. And another thing here is implemented that's very important, and you can see it here. There are some light emitting diodes, some LEDs, orange LEDs, and we can turn it on in two different ways. We can turn it on like this, where they are constantly illuminated, and we can switch to another mode, and this mode is specified by the speaker device. The speaker device is something you might remember from my earlier videos. Circuit based on the NE505 that generates complex chaotic patterns, and you can adjust these patterns here with a potentiometer, and you already can see that it gives some nice interferences between the chaotic flashing frequency of the LEDs and the shutter frequency of the camera. This is something I wanted to use in this device because it gives more entropy to the, let's say, to the signal. So now let's take a look at the inside. We can open the lid like this. Okay, let's start with the lid. You can see here is the motor I showed you from the other side with the shaft. The shaft is covered with some foam. The foam is giving some friction to the rotating shaft so that the ball is, let's say, well, the turning movement is conveyed to the ball, the rock ball. And here you can see those diodes. This all here is cable and wiring. And
Here you can see this is the control circuit for the motor drive, the pulse width modulation. This is rechargeable battery, and I have to move the camera, sorry. And here you can see the speaker circuit that's driving the LEDs. The front panel here, if it's possible to speak about a front panel, is just a main switch. The control LED, this is the switch for the motor, and this is the switch for the LEDs. You can switch them off or on, continuously on, or driven by the speaker circuit, and here you can adjust the speaker pattern. And now I'll show you the whole device in action. Please don't be set up because the rotating ball makes a lot of noise. So switch it on, we start the motor, and sorry. Now the motor is running, and we can adjust the frequency of the LEDs with this potentiometer here.
The problem that I needed to solve was how to get images from this rotating rock crystal ball and to analyze them. In my previous experiment I used a camera, namely this camera I'm using here for the video, with a macro lens. It was focusing on the rotating ball on the water stream, and I took a small movie from this rotating ball, just a few seconds, and then I let's say decomposed, or I split the movie into single frames, so I could analyze the movie frame by frame painstakingly. This takes a lot of effort, but it's the only way to really get all out of this data you are seeing in every frame. I wanted to make this a little more comfortable and process a little bit more stable than using a camera on a tripod with a macro lens, and so I had a nice idea to facilitate the taking of pictures. The first idea I had was what camera to use. Should be a camera small, easy to use, and I still had my old Samsung smartphone here, and it has very good camera here, and I took some really fantastic pictures and movies with this smartphone for years, but now it's the memory is too small, like always. All the Android updates has blown up the or eaten up all the memory storage inside this nice device. So now it's lying around in my cupboard. And I downloaded a very nice camera app where you can adjust can set the focus of this camera manually, and also the exposure time, and also the frames per second if we want to take let's say a movie or film. So I decided to use this as a camera. It's a very low-cost approach, and I needed something to fix the smartphone onto, so that it could easily focus on the rotating ball. And for this purpose I designed this, let's say, adaptation. It's just a piece of wood, and we see here's the frame here for taking the smartphone. This is a cutout here, and when the smartphone is positioned like this, you can see the camera is right looking through this hole. And we have 3 legs here, directly matching some mounting points that are placed on the device. I show you now how. By the way, this fascinating image of this rotating and light pulsating rock crystal ball is the reason why I coined the name Jupiter Device for this device I created, because this rotating glass ball looks very much, in my eyes, like the planet Jupiter. And because of this similarity, and Jupiter is the biggest and heaviest planet in our whole solar system, I coined the name Jupiter Device. So now with this setup I was able to provide, let's say, a stable environment to take pictures always in the same way, and that made it easier for me to compare the results. And since we are talking about results, I now want to show you some of the test runs I made and the results I gained from them, and they are pretty interesting. least if there was nothing else to see for you but the beauty of those pictures, I hope you really could enjoy it. And these, let's say, artwork that's emerging from the interaction of light and moving glass or crystal and interfering light patterns. So it's not always about seeing faces and things, sometimes it's just the beauty of the picture that is so amazing. But nevertheless, I would like to draw some objective conclusions. Basically, the method is promising, but the quality, or let's say the abundance of content, spirit image content in the images from the Jupiter device is not comparable to the ones I gained from the rotating glass ball on the indoor fountain. So there's still a way to go. There are two things to consider. One is that obviously the image become more blurry. The images become more blurry when the glass ball or the crystal ball is turning at high speed. This is logical because this movement, due to the limited exposure time, the exposure time cannot be as short as you want it to be. There's always some fuzziness caused by the turning movement of the glass ball. So one thing would one way to improve the images could be to take sharp images from a fast rotating crystal ball, and this can only be achieved by one way: if we have more light. The image must be the whole image must be brighter. So with more light, the exposure time is going down, and with the lower exposure time we have less fuzziness caused by the movement of the ball. And second thing is, I cannot exclude that the presence of water in the experiment with the rotating glass ball also plays a role. Even though the images were not taken by looking with the camera lens through the water. In fact, the water was, let's say, under the ball, building some kind of liquid bed where the ball was rotating in. So the light was going through the water, but the image was taken directly by filming the rotating glass ball without any water in between. But I cannot exclude that water plays a role here. So if I cannot bring the images to this level of quality compared to the rotating glass ball on the indoor fountain with the Jupiter device, I should think about or should consider how to involve water in this process. So stay tuned, there will be more things up to come. Thank you.